Welcome back to Myth, Legends, and Truth. And this is the second time we go live back to back. Ari,
Hi, welcome back.
my hair's a mess. All right, so what are we doing today? Today we're going to talk about one of the craziest thing in the Latin culture. What is it?
We're gonna talk about Latin American um, myths and legends and monsters.
Right, I'm going to have to open a beer and pour myself a beer. Well, Ari, before anything, what are you drinking? Are you drinking anything for this show?
I am drinking something. I don't know what it is.
That's because I kind of spiked it up for you. All right, I don't want to show the beer because we're not getting advertised by anyone. So, no, but I got one of my favorite glass. Someone get this beer a guy. So that'd be me. All right, so your face.
I got you the cup.
She did. So, let me fix this a little more. There we go. All right, let me put you a little more. There it is. Perfect. So today we're going to talk about the following myth or legends. One of them is one of my favorite. I think we're going to start with my favorite, which is El Cuco.
So,
You want to talk about the five that we're going to talk about?
we're just kind of randomly picking them.
Yeah. Number one is El Cuco. Number two is going to be La Llorona, which I think that's one of your favorite, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Number three, El Duende. Crazy. Number four, where am I? Number four now, El Chupacabra. And then, excuse me, last but not least, La Ciguapa. A lot of people never heard about La Ciguapa, but believe me, she is nothing to mess around with.
Yeah.
And she will be.
And there are a lot of variations. I mean, we realize we'll talk a little bit about, we'll mention where they originated from.
Okay.
But I realize that all throughout the, South American countries, the Caribbean, there's variations.
Yeah. And we got ourselves some popcorn here in case we get a little.
Popcorn's my favorite snacks.
That's right. All right. So let's start with El Cuco.
Okay.
Okay. So my wife is going to read it. And I'm, as always, going to interrupt, react, and do my thing.
So El Cuco is one that, the country of origin is Spain. Supposedly.
Motherland.
But, of course, there's variations all throughout.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always known, being Puerto Rican, my family.
Wait, you're Puerto Rican?
I've always heard of El Cuco, and that's how, I've always referred to him too. The English version is the boogeyman.
The boogeyman.
So
that's right.
This is one that transcends all cultures,
right,
and languages and everything. All right, so like the boogeyman, El Cuco, also known as El Viejo del Saco, and El Sacoman.
Sacoman.
Uh-huh. On some occasions, targets children.
Oh, don't you hate it? They always go for the kids.
Yeah, and what I learned about it is, a lot of the times they just said it, to keep you on your best behavior. If you misbehave, the people's gonna get you. If you misbehave, La Llorona is coming for you, or something like that. But unlike the boogeyman, Latino parents use El Cuco to drive fear of God into their children.
Oh, I was
pretty much what I just mentioned. Yeah. El Cuco looks for misbehaving children, or what is this? Or baby pataperros.
Patapero, kids in the streets.
Oh, little orphans?
Yeah, that's a slang word for kids on the streets.
Oh, to kidnap via his bag. Spanish legend has it that El Cuco is Francisco Ortega, a.k.a. El Moruno.
Okay.
At the beginning of the 20th century, Ortega was so desperate to find a cure for his tuberculosis that he visited a curandera.
Which, if you guys don't know what a curandera is, you want to explain it?
A curandera is like a witch doctor.
Witchcraft.
A healer.
Okay, yeah.
Is it a witch doctor?
It's a witch doctor.
Or just a healer?
Just a witch doctor.
Spiritual healer.
They do both. Those are the healers.
He was told to drink the blood of children. That's definitely a witch doctor, spiritual healer kind of stuff.
Oh, no.
he was told to drink the blood of children. So he kidnapped a 7-year-old boy named Bernardo. Bernardo. So, who is Jassy Jatir?
No clue.
We're going to have to Google that.
Or you guys can Google them. Let us know.
Similarly, it's I guess it's another type of story of El Cuco, but with just like a different person who similarly preys on children.
Okay.
But Jassy takes them back to a cave and feeds them wild fruits and berries until they become feral.
Feral?
So, yeah, they become feral, like violent, back to, like animalistic.
Animalistic instincts?
Animalistic.
Okay. Go. Is that it?
Well, that's it for El Cuco.
So growing up, El Cuco was one of those boogeymans that my mother told me about, not to be out after the sun went down. Once the sun went down, if I was still outside, the Cuco would think that I'm one of those orphans out in the street, would kidnap me and would use my blood to cure himself, because there they said he had tuberculosis, correct? When I was growing up, this is going to sound crazy, my mother told me he had AIDS. And he had, that Cuco had AIDS, and by drinking.
At that time, really?
Yeah, that time, because I was growing up, in the mid-'80s.
Right.
So if I was still outside when the sun went down, a Cuco had AIDS, and he would drink your blood. He would have like this machine that he'd strap you, take your blood out, drink your blood.
You might have to be a little more specific as to where you were growing up.
I was growing up in the Bronx, New York. And so a kid from the Bronx. And my mother always told me, once the sun went down, the street lights came on. If you were not home within 5 minutes, the Cuco would get you, drink your blood, and that's how he cured his AIDS, just by drinking little boys' blood. It had to be boys. Little boys' blood. And La Llorona, which we're going to get into later on.
Boys.
Yeah. And La Llorona, we're going to get to, we're going to definitely get into it later on.
My parents had me. And so, obviously, it included girls.
Right.
And it was like, if you misbehave, or you're crying, or you're whining, or whatever, you're going to... Not La Llorona, El
Cuco. Okay, cool. El Cuco. Yeah, but it's interesting how for me, it was one of those things that he's going to drink your blood. He had AIDS.
I didn't know that story growing up, though. I always heard of El Cuco because, it was always threatened by El Cuco, but I never heard the story.
Okay.
Or that part that he's going to drink the blood. Is just, he's going to come and get me. And
now he's going to drink your blood because he got AIDS, he's dying, and he's to cure himself by drinking little boy's blood. That's how my mother scared the shit out of me. He had some claws that he would just rip your flesh out, take your veins, put a syringe in there, take all your blood out, and then drink your blood, and then just leave you there for the rats.
Freddy Krueger.
For the rats to eat you. That's what see what I had to grow up with. So number 2.
Okay. Number 2, of course, the classic La Llorona.
Yep, one of my favorite ones, by the way.
So the country of origin is Mexico.
Mexicana.
But in Puerto Rico, we had, I would go and visit, and I heard of La Llorona over there.
Yeah. I'm not Puerto Rican, but in my culture, we also had La Llorona.
Right. So, a lot of variations all throughout. You
want some of your juice before you get started?
No.
Okay, go.
Okay. So, similar stories. La Novia de Tola, which is from Nicaragua. And La Sayona, which is from Venezuela.
Right.
So, as you can see, everyone has, their variations.
Their own different, yeah.
Okay. So, here we go. Scorned Women is a I don't know what's happening here.
What happened?
Okay, scorned women is a trope familiar all over the world, which is probably why there are so many of them in Latino horror culture. Though there are variations in La Llorona's origin, there are a few things that remain the same. A beautiful woman named Maria drowns her 2 children once her husband loses interest in her.
Yep.
In one version, the man leaves her for another woman. After killing her children and herself, she is unable to go to the afterlife until she finds her kids, which is when she starts going after wandering children. Her yells can be heard in the late evenings. In another, Maria is the most beautiful woman in town. She meets a ranchero and she wants to be with, but only marry him after he spends a lot of time and money courting her. They eventually have 2 children and he goes back to his ranchero ways, leaving their family for periods of time and only returning to see his children. One day, Maria finds him with a new woman and becomes so enraged that she kills her children to spite him. By the time she realizes what she's done, it's too late. The next day, she is found dead by the river. And after that, her ghost can be found crying as she roams the river in search of her children.
So this is, it's done? So this is a funny one because my mother, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, finish. And then I'm going to say
before you forget.
No, I'm not.
Your mom.
No, I won't forget because it's something my mother told me. I don't forget.
In Nicaragua, the story centers on Hilaria Ruiz, a young woman who fell for Salvador Cruz, a playboy. Before his wedding, he stopped by his lover, Juana Gazo's house. Juana knew it would be over between the 2 of them, so she got him drunk enough to miss his wedding.
Oh, wow.
Hilaria, inconsolable, became La Novia de Tola, a scorned ghost who waits for her beloved forever. La Sayona is a woman who haunts men in relationships who cheat. Didn't we do one recently on this? The woman that she goes after husbands that cheats and stuff. Was that like the Owl Witch?
That was the Owl Witch.
Yeah, you guys have to go back and listen to that one. Okay. She is seen wearing a white dress and is even called La Llorona sometimes because she is seen crying while holding a baby in her arms. Yeah.
So I gotta say this before I forget because I'm borderline forgetting what I'm going to say. So again, another story that I'm very familiar with, just differently. Because for some reason, my mother kind of customized those stories, like to shape her kids to do better.
Right.
So what I was told when I was growing up was, if you go right ahead and you marry a girl, or you're with a girl, you have a kid, and you cheat on her, or you hit her, you mistreat her, or do anything that you're not supposed to in a marriage, then that girl will kill your kids as payback, and then she will kill herself, La Llorona, and then she's going to hunt you for the rest of her life. You will always hear her scream right before you go to sleep, especially at night, and you will never be able to sleep.
Can you imagine walking out in the woods somewhere?
Yeah.
Like, let's say you go on vacation, you rent a cabin or whatever. You're by a river, and you start hearing a woman wailing.
I'm gone.
And somebody like crouched over by the river.
I'm gone. I'm going to what a dress on or whatever the case is. No, I'm not going to do that, one. And two, I'm not going to. I know a guy that he ended up mistreating his wife, cheated on her, and his mother told him the same thing. She didn't kill her kids or anything like that. But he always said that story kind of lived with him. And he's always been afraid of the simple fact that he won't be there to help his kids if anything happens to them because they got divorced. So that's kind of one of those things. That's how they use those stories.
That's what I was gonna say. I feel like they use them to kind of keep everybody in line.
Right. They put you on check with those things.
So that even there's like boogeymen for husbands who cheat.
Right.
Like that owl witch, or like
Yes.
this lady that was mentioned, which is interesting. I mean, but
it's pretty cool the way they come up with these myths, and it's been passed on to generation and generation, generation. You could just customize them.
Weird thing is, like with these stories, you do have some names attached to those stories.
Okay.
And you know, I think at some point there were people, you know, those names that had that situation happen to them, and then, you know, these myths just spiraled after that, and then just continued and continued.
Yeah, I mean, but then, you know, like I was saying, they know how to customize it. They know how to customize it.
But I feel like with like La Llorona, for example, the story, even though it just varies throughout, I mean, it's pretty consistent. I think that's like El Cuco, La Llorona is one of those stories that's pretty consistent. And, you know, the name of being Maria, you know, with the fact that she killed her kids,
right?
Despite the details, you know, it could have been he cheated, it could have been, you know, whatever. But at the end of the day, it's a Maria that killed her kids and drowned them in the river. That seems to be like another consistent detail.
Right.
So I feel like it's also one of those things that, you know, to scare the kids, to keep them out of danger. You know, so they're not wandering by the river and get swept away, or wandering by some body of water and drown or whatever. So, you know, they'll scare them. Like, Llorona's going to come and get you if, you know, if you're over here by this time.
Right. Be home before the sun goes down. That was the biggest one. That always got me.
You know, and probably more to keep them safe, you know, out of harm's way.
Yeah.
Than anything else.
All right. So what's the next one? Let's see.
Okay.
I
still think it's creepy. And growing up, you know, being threatened with those two, I was still pretty scared.
Yeah, it's just one of those.
And even to this day, I think I'd still be kind of freaked out if.
With what, like Llorona?
Yeah, like, you know, if I'm wandering by, you know, in the woods or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And I hear a woman yelling, you know, like instinctively, I might start thinking,
yeah, we're leaving. We are not going to stand.
Llorona or not, it's still scary.
We are leaving. So that was La Llorona.
Okay. We're going for El Duende.
El Duende.
So
wow.
This is like a, not a hobbit. What do you call those?
I thought it was
goblin.
Yeah, goblin. That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
Goblin.
Country of origin, Spain. But I know that there's a lot of stories.
You said in your country, my country, like it's all over the place. Yeah.
I didn't hear too much of El Duende, but
you didn't hear the Duende?
No. But I didn't grow up in Puerto Rico. The top two was El Cuco and La Llorona. That's pretty much all.
Yeah, but then came the Chupacabra, which we're going to discuss next after the Duende.
Which that was really freaking creepy when that came out, when they started talking about that in the news, and then, you know, because that was in the 90s.
Yeah, it was in the 90s.
That's a pretty recent.
That's the baby out of all of them.
Right.
You know. But go with the Duende first.
Okay. Duendes are well known all over Latin America, and each country has its own interpretation of the small gnome or elf-like creatures. Even our primos in the Philippines have a version, which is also pronounced kind of like duendes, which makes sense considering that the myth originates with our mutual colonizer, Spain. Okay, where duendes, I know. Where duendes become a fundamental component of classic literature and culture.
Okay.
In the 16th century, there was even a law in Spain that said that anyone who moved into a home and later realized it was infested with duendes was free to abandon it. Can you imagine? Like, you know, we buy a house and you lose your job or something, you can't afford it. Hey, by the way, there's these little hungry gnomes running around the house.
Duende somewhere.
Oh yeah, you're free to move. You don't gotta pay the house.
Good.
Okay, beliefs about duendes vary from region to region. Some believe they are the souls of infants who died before they could be baptized. Others simply portray them as malevolent, naughty spirits that hide in a person's home and wreak havoc. But most duende variants seem to have a special relationship to children, probably because parents began using them as a tactic to scare their kids into doing their bidding. Hence the stories your parents terrorized you with about how duendes were coming to kidnap you and eat you if you didn't clean your room, clip your toenails, take a shower, stood out too late. So that's the end of that. And by the way, Bart will attach a link or whatever to the site that we're getting all this information from. But
growing up, if you didn't get baptized, being Catholic, growing up as a Catholic, that was a big thing with my mother. If you don't get baptized before you are 3 years old, I don't know what they were 3, but 3 years old, you have the potential of becoming a duende.
I think in religion, 3s or spiritual stuff, like the number 3 is significant, 6 is significant. I think, and like 7 is also significant.
I don't know what it is, but what it was. But my mother had, you have to be baptized before you turn 3 years old. If not, you will be a duende. So they are possessed. They tend to, every home they go that has love, they disrupt everything around them. They have no, so what we're looking for, no, they don't care about no one's happiness or anything like that. They're just out there causing pain. They hurt everything around them, emotionally, physically, and they're freaking pain in the ass to deal with.
So this sounds kind of different, though. I didn't grow up hearing about duendes. I guess maybe, on the Spanish side, I heard I didn't even really hear, I heard like little goblins and not so much like gnomes or anything. Heard about elves, but there was another story that I heard about duendes. It was like a true story from someone. But now I'm confused if this is the same type of duende or if there's a different type. I think like this describes them as being like gnomes or elf-like. The one that the guy was talking about was maybe more like a goblin type. Like okay, you think of Harry Potter.
Okay.
And like the goblins or whatever they are that are like obsessed with money.
Yeah.
So like these duendes are obsessed with money and treasure.
Oh no, I never heard that one.
And
before.
So anywhere that there's money or anything, that's where those types of duendes will be. Now I'm not sure if I'm calling it by the correct name now, if it's the same type or if it's different types. But essentially, like the guy that was telling the story, he said he rented an apartment above a jewelry store.
Oh.
And this was in Mexico. And the guy said that he would see, like, kind of describe like this, like an elf-like creature.
They're short. They're midgets. They're not tall.
Yeah. So like an elf-like creature, like a goblin type creature that would often walk across his bedroom.
What the fuck?
He'd wake up sometimes and he'd be standing, at the foot of his bed. He'd be on the ceiling. He'd be walking through walls or whatever. So
no, sir.
The thing was that he rented an apartment on top of a jewelry store. And as legend went, they were very attracted to treasure. So because there was so much treasure there, because there was so much gold and diamonds and silver and all that stuff, that's where they were just all congregating. So he kept seeing them at night, walking through his room and stuff.
I never heard of that.
But he said they never heard him. He just like whatever.
Shit,
like he,
right? If I see him, let me tell you, I'm gonna. Well, real quick, see that sword right there? That Marine Corps sword? I would have stabbed the shit out of it. Yeah, not joking around with some.
He said, they left them alone. They left him alone. He left them alone.
No, that's not how it works. You don't pay rent, you don't live here. You don't pay mortgage, you don't live here.
Him.
Get out. Yeah, no, I've never heard the one that they go for money or anything like that. I do know that also if you don't cover your whole feet or anything like that, they'll start munching on your toes and little crazy stuff like that. My mother used to tell me. This is
Yeah,
funny,
I
right?
know a story also from a lady that was talking
You should
about
start
getting her
munching your
that
toes.
night.
And the thing is, their saliva supposedly it numbs your toes, so it could bite over time. You'll be missing your toe.
This lady said that in Puerto Rico, at night she kept feeling like something was pulling on her toes and stuff like that. And then I guess she went to talk to somebody and they told her what to do, like some sort of ritual or something. And she lived not far from a river.
Yeah.
So in the middle of the night, she felt them tugging on her toes or whatever. And she got out of bed and she draped, she had her blanket, her sheets, and she wrapped everything up and she ran towards the river and tossed it all in the river. And she said that the blanket actually made like a splashing sound and sank down into the river. And it was like, what it felt like and what it sounded like was just like a whole bunch of bones, like dry bones hanging up against each other. And, they sank into the river.
Now. All right, what's next besides the duende?
Okay.
Really good story, by the way. Why you find the other one?
Okay, so chupacabra, which is what we were talking about. That was like the newer version.
The newer version of these myth or legends that they say out there. Now, chupacabra was all over the news in the 90s, right?
And I have to say, when it did come out, seeing it on the news, and of course, I was born and raised in New York.
Yeah.
I'm seeing this like on your regular news.
9 to 5. Yep.
It's not like you're seeing it on some of these, what are those like tabloids or whatever that they're
supermarket tabloids.
Yeah, that
like
there's their sources and stuff are questionable. Like I'm seeing this, on regular news. Footage and them talking about these strange occurrences happening in Puerto Rico. And I have to admit that creeped me out.
Yeah, it creeped out.
But I have to say that now, like at the moment, it creeped me out because it just seemed so real, and it was real. What was happening, we just don't know exactly why it was happening, but at the time, we just really got to see a whole new superstition, a whole new myth and legend
being developed, in our
lifetime.
Which is pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
So I thought it was interesting, but I have to say that this is the one that scares me the least.
The chupacabra?
Yeah.
Well, he never attacked humans.
Right. So
it was only animals, cattle, and stuff like that. But let's go with the chupacabra because I think.
Okay.
I don't have a story about chupacabra growing up because my mother kind of.
Okay, I mean, this came out when we were about teens.
Right.
Okay, so El Chupacabra. Country of origin, Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
And like a Latin American Bigfoot or Loch Ness monster, El Chupacabra, generally or also actually literally known as a goat sucker.
Yeah. He sucks what?
Goats, goat blood,
right.
Is a beast whose alleged existence has plagued farmers and the collective Latin consciousness for some time now.
Right.
So this was a huge issue for farmers. It really was because they were losing a lot of.
They show the pictures of the function.
And was it really just goats, or was it other?
No, they got cows. They got other.
I feel like they were really losing a lot of cattle. Like it was. It was tough for them making a living. They're raising these animals, they're selling them, for food, butcher shops and stuff. So it's really messing with their livelihood.
Right.
Okay. So I lost my place. Latin American consciousness for some time now. Not quite as old as Sasquatch, the Yeti, or even the Jersey Devil.
Yeah, we got to do that one.
That one also. Yeah. Okay. The legend of El Chupacabra dates back to just 1995.
It's a baby compared to the rest of them.
Right. I'm not going to say how old I was at that time.
Nah. Giving away my age.
The first report...
Pause. Believe it or not, we're only a year apart, and she looks so much younger than me. I look like 98 years, so... Huh. Anyway, according to our kids.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Shut up and keep on reading.
The first report of a chupacabra attack was in March of that year. Though some say reports go all the way back to the 60s in Puerto Rico. I had never heard of that before.
Yeah.
8 sheep were killed and completely drained of blood, with 3 puncture wounds in each of their chests. Okay. Authorities attributed the killings to more conventional predators, but many locals suspected a satanic cult.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Did you? You thought it was like
some crazy.
Oh yeah, there is like a lot of like
brujeria. That's what I thought.
Stuff.
Yeah,
yeah. But the fact that it was like the puncture wounds and they did it so cleanly,
right?
There wasn't like a lot of blood or anything left, and they were completely drained, like dry. Okay. So, authorities attributed the killings to more conventional predators, but many locals suspected a satanic cult. By August, 150 similar livestock killings had taken place.
Wow.
And by the end of the year, the mysterious beast had been blamed for over 1,000.
That's right.
So it could have been maybe that one person started for the satanic cult, and then you have all these copycats. Or legitimately, there was actually something out there sucking their blood.
Right.
That's creepy. Because what animal does that just sucks the blood?
I have no clue.
Okay. Descriptions of the creature varied widely in the town of Canovanas. My aunt is from Canovanas.
Maybe she was the one doing it. It's crazy people.
The creature was described as winged, swooping down on its prey. In Caguas, it was said to have hairy arms and red eyes. By the end of 1995, the most prevalent description was gray alien-like creature about 3 to 4 feet tall that walks upright on its muscular hind legs.
Wow.
By 1996, reports of chupacabra attacks were being reported on the mainland as well, beginning in Miami. I didn't know.
Yeah, Miami, really? And then went to South America too.
And later in the Southwest and in Mexico.
Yep.
Either the creature had migrated or the stories had become so popular that reports of sightings and copycat attacks were being carried out here too. This time, the creature was described as dog-like, but reptilian.
Yeah, I remember that.
Whether chupacabra exists or not, reports of bloodless murdered livestock persist.
Mm-hmm.
And to date, no satisfactory predator has ever been caught.
Right. So I remember watching the news, and it went from Puerto Rico, Florida, Mexico, and then just started going crazy in South America. It just went crazy there, and I remember thinking it can't be a copycat because it had the same distance from the punctures.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, some crazy people was measuring it.
Well, yeah, because you did have this whole team
following it around. Yeah,
that were basically dedicated to researching, these animals.
And they kept on saying it's not a copycat because it has the exact same punctures, same distance, same width, same everything in the same location. So it's either the same person going crazy, or some other BS out there.
Yeah, that freaks me out to see that on the news like that. And I was like, well, luckily, did I? Oh, I actually did visit Puerto Rico that summer. So I was kind of nervous going with the stories flowing around.
By the way, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and give us some more topics. We have tons of topics, but if you want us to touch on one that you want us to discuss, feel free.
Let us know.
Mm-hmm. All right, what is next after chupacabra?
Okay.
One of the best ones is coming up now. La
Ciguapa.
La Ciguapa.
Now, this one I'd never heard of.
Oh, wait till you start reading it. They're gonna be like, yeah.
I heard of a variation of it.
Yep. It's one of my favorites. So go. Start right away. This is one of my favorite
Okay.
Ciguapas.
Country of origin, Dominican Republic.
Mm-hmm.
Similar to La Cegua from Costa Rica
Yeah.
and Nicaraguan folklore.
Mm-hmm.
La Patasola, Colombia. La Tunda from Colombia and Ecuador.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so according to Dominican folklore, La Ciguapa is a hypnotic, mythical creature that takes the form of a woman with backwards facing feet.
Now
this
you
is
know.
the one
Exactly.
that your mom told you about.
Yeah.
So is this like similar to the deer lady?
Same.
Okay.
Same.
Ciguapas lurk in the highland mountains and deep forests of the island, waiting for the perfect moment to lure men into the woods and make them disappear. Is this also like another cheating husband type of thing?
Yep. Watch. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Their long, thick manes,
Mm-hmm.
tan skin, and feet make them pretty elusive and prone to outwitting followers. You probably remember Chichis Peralta's La Ciguapa from a million of your primo's weddings.
Mm-hmm.
Really? I gotta hear that song because I don't know which song they're talking about. Okay. But if you're like me, your favorite memory of La Ciguapa was Julia Alvarez's less misogynistic reimagining for kids, The Secret Footprints, which depicted the magical beings as more timid, curious, and less predatory creatures. Where is that? The Secret Footprints.
That was the one where the kids kept on following the footprints, but it was actually going away from her because her feet. Yeah, because her feet are exactly so. Where the kiss ended up, that's where she began.
Oh, okay.
It's a pretty cool story.
The first recorded mention of Ciguapas appear in Francisco Javier Angulo's Gurides.
They got like 20 different names.
Story La Ciguapa in 1866, which didn't mention the creature's backward feet. While many think Ciguapas are an Arawak legend, scholars have found little evidence to prove the connection, which suggests the legend's origins are far more likely to have emerged from African religious beliefs brought over to the island during the colonial period.
Right. So I got something cool.
The Ciguapa has a similar one-legged version from Colombia called La Patasola, as well as La Cegua, who eventually shapeshifts into a skull horse head.
Mm-hmm.
La Tunda also bears similarities to the Quisqueyano legend.
Meaning Dominican legend.
Although that version of the tale alleges that the creature has the ability to appear in the form of a loved one or suck your blood and devour you, a la Dementor's kiss.
So, the whole story came about back then when they took Africans, they were not yet called African Americans, Africans to train to be slaves. They took them into La Española, which is now called Dominican Republic. When they took them to La Española, there was a boat, according to, my mother and the one that knew the story very well was my Aunt Tina.
Did she also shapeshift too? I thought you mentioned that she would shapeshift.
So the one that actually scared the shit out of me with this story was my Aunt Tina. She was like an amazing. She's still alive. A storyteller, because her eyes would just light up and show. It was animated, right? So she told me the whole story. Back then, the slave boats ended up going to La Española. Once they were there, they transferred all the Africans to train them how to be slaves, to, transfer them to the U.S., Great Britain, and other places. Well, supposedly, in one of those boats, everyone died. 100%, everyone died. And when they went to open, what do you call dock the boat, nobody was inside the boat. And then out of nowhere, like a bat out of hell, came this lady that her feet was backwards running, and that's how she got stuck in the Dominican Republic. So did she come from Africa? Because the boat was coming directly from Africa.
Well, being that she sucked everybody's blood, does this have a connection to the story
Dracula?
of like the Demeter?
Yeah.
The boat.
Yeah.
With the Dracula.
Right. So once they were able to dock the boat and open the door, whatever they opened, she came straight out like a bat out of hell. She's been causing havoc in the Dominican Republic. As far as what my aunt tells me, my mother. Now, here's the thing: a beautiful lady, according to them, attacks anybody of the following: a bad husband, a bad father, a person that mistreat kids, and most importantly, anyone trying to take advantage of someone else. For example, if you are at that time a slave owner, she will kill you, right? Because she was against all that.
So it's like the women trying to keep their husbands in line.
Right. Right. Typical. So that's the whole thing. She doesn't like. She's not like Llorona that weeps or anything like that. But she will attract you because of her beauty. And once you saw her beauty, and you were a bad person, she kills you.
Interesting.
And then she will stomp on your head and just until the white meat comes out. Which it was kind of crazy. And all this done all the time. She'll kind of kill you to the point, not kill you, but numb you to the point where you can still feel her what's that? What's those things horses got? That's what she has.
Like the hoops.
The hoops. She'll start stepping in your head until your whole brain comes out. So you feel each and every one of the pain. Like every time she steps on you, you feel the whole pain.
Wow.
Yep. So that's what our 5 scariest Latin myth or legends. I like. Which one was your favorite?
My favorite is always La Llorona.
La Llorona. I hate La Llorona. Goddamn psycho chick that went crazy, kill her kids, start weeping.
Yeah. I mean,
so depressing.
Because it is a creepy story.
It is. It sucks. My favorite.
That's awful.
Así Guapa. Yeah, Así Guapa's always been one of my favorite.
Oh, you grew up on that? I grew up on La Llorona.
Yeah, so it's always been one of my favorites. Scared shitless. And Cuco was the one that got me the most. Got me home the fastest. The minute my boys, my friends, we were all playing, and we all knew the story, and we were like, yo, the street lights are on. At Cuco, we ran home.
And that was the thing, though. Like, yes, I was threatened with El Cuco, but I didn't know his story. I didn't hear his story. I didn't know his story. But her story, I kind of knew. So I think that kind of make a difference. Like, El Cuco was just the name. I didn't know what it meant. All I know is that it's probably a bad thing if he comes for me.
He's going to beat the shit out of you. He said, you're done. Well, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tomorrow is Monday. Most likely she will not be in the video, but this guy will be making a video. So definitely I'm going to be making a video tomorrow by myself. Got some plans going on. You guys are going to love it. Again, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget anything else.
No.
And let us know which one's your favorite. Let us know which one's your favorite. Which one have you ever heard of these guys before? Is there anyone from Latin America? I know that we have. Wait, I did write some down. Some other ones like La Luz. That was scary. And Pao Cheng was pretty scary too.
La Luz was like one of those like crazy balls of electricity.
La Luz Mala. We could do that one whenever you want to. La Luz Mala.
For those who don't know or never seen, like there is like a weird thing that does happen where there's like a ball of electricity.
Mm-hmm. That just goes from the street. So whatever cases.
So
the Aquilaka was pretty good also from Colombia. I've heard that one a lot. The one that I always kind of, like I was telling you, El Sombreron from Guatemala. I always make fun of that one every time because it's just a big sombrero. What the hell are you scared of?
It looks like Harry Potter.
Yeah, and I think that's where they got that from.
Like it's the hat that tells you, the dividing hat or whatever.
Yeah, it's a Sombreron. I never kind of... the other one, El Culebron or El Viparón, for me, it kind of didn't make sense because I was raised in the city, so I'm like, goddamn snake gonna get me. And so those are pretty much some of the scary ones. I know that there's many more, but those are our favorite. Anyway, Sally, Ari, I call it two different names. There's like two. So when you hear me say Sully, that's because that's kind of that's my name for her. But Ari, that's how she introduced herself. That's her name. But I call her Sully because it's kind of a mixture of her name. Did I say too much?
Like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know if there's anything that you want to hear about in particular.
All right. See you guys. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Bye.
How do I stop this thing? And string. And